Hi guys, Mrs. Harris. Today is April 1st, 2020. We are in biology. We were going over venomous bugs and how bugs were stolen and sold on the black market yesterday and Monday. Today we're just going to review some of the questions that you guys did yesterday. It was the toxic bug skill builder from Science World. So we went over the amount of venom that the insects have. Remember, the smaller the dose, the more venomous they are. So that brings us to the first question. Which insect is the most venomous? And it is the harvester ant with 0.12. That might have been a tricky one. You guys might have been looking for the highest number. However, remember in the article it said the smallest amount of venom is more lethal. The second question, explain why it's important to remove a stinger if you are stung by a honeybee. So, I'm sure some of you have been stung by a honeybee. I know I have, and it definitely does not feel great at all. So, you want to hurry up and remove that stinger because the stinger keeps moving deeper into your skin and it delivers more venom into your skin. So, you remove it as soon as possible. The third question is describe 2 ways paper wasps are different than honeybees. So, paper wasps, they sting and they can sting you multiple times. However, a honeybee stings you once and then they die. The other thing that differs from the paper wasp to the honeybees is that they're able to move their body to direct the stinger. So if they need to sting above their head, they're able to move their body above their head. However, a honeybee is not able to do that. Their stinger's in the back of their body and they don't have the ability to move. Fourth questions. The scientists tested the venom of 20 different species of the harvester ants, and the average LD50 was 0.66. So we want to know how the venom of most harvester ants compare with that of the other species. So it has a stronger venom than others. You guys saw that on the chart. It has the most venom than all the other insects that were listed in the table. And then number 5, describe at least 2 factors that affect how dangerous a sting from any insect in the table could be for a human. So the first thing is the danger of a sting can depend on if a person is allergic to the venom or not. And then the second one would be if they experience multiple stings. So if they get stung over and over and over again, that affects how dangerous that the stings could be. So we reviewed the toxic bugs worksheet. Now I'm just going to read you guys a little bit from a National Geographic site that I found about bug smuggling. So we are going to start reading that. So this article is called Bug Smuggling is Big Business. So if you guys want to Google that, you can. If not, you guys can just listen to me. So Special Agent Ryan Bessie was in his office at the New Jersey branch of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services in Galloway on September 23, 2015, when he took a call from a colleague in the intelligence unit. The analyst told him that a French customs officer had seized about 115 emperor scorpions in 2 shipments from Cameroon. They were addressed to a man in New Jersey named Wolzimi Lapkiewicz. If French authorities considered the bust important enough to tell the U.S. about it, Lapkiewicz was worth looking into, Betsy thought. He began doing some digging. He discovered that Lapkiewicz had a track record in the U.S. as well. 2 months earlier, the emperor scorpions and giant African millipedes from Tanzania had escaped from a package addressed to Lapkiewicz on a postal service delivery truck. Around the same time, Bessie says that he learned that Lapkiewicz was selling spiders, millipedes, and the emperor and dictator scorpions on Facebook. The criminal complaint alleged that Lapkiewicz was instructing suppliers to mislabel the boxes to invade custom officers. It showed that this was part of an ongoing commercial enterprise, says Betsy. So remember we were reading in the article Stolen how they listed some of the boxes as dresses. So that's exactly what they did here. Lapkewicz did not respond to Facebook messages from National Geographic requesting an interview, and his lawyer didn't respond to emails and a voicemail. It's illegal to import most insects and other arthropods, including spiders, scorpions, and millipedes, or their parts, into the United States without a permit from the Fish and Wildlife Services. The U.S. Department of Agriculture also requires a permit to bring in some live invertebrates. Emperor scorpions and dictator scorpions require special paperwork because they're listed by the Convention on the International Trade Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which is CITES, an international agreement that regulates cross-border sales of species. Then 3 years later, in 2018, U.S. Customs officer in India seized about a dozen of giant African millipedes from a Lapkewicz-bound package labeled "plush toys for my French child about to be born." That's a different name to put on a package, according to the criminal complaint. A couple weeks after the wildlife inspector at New York's John F. Kennedy Airport opened a shipment addressed to Lapkewicz to find 245 small cylinders containing the egg sacs of the orchid mantises, pink and white insects from South Asia that look like flower petals. In August 2018, the U.S. District Attorney's Office charged Lapkewicz with smuggling wildlife and false labeling, federal crimes that carry a collective maximum of 25 years in prison. Lapkewicz pled guilty to smuggling wildlife only. He was sentenced on July 2nd, 2019 to 6 months of home confinement and 4 years probation. So the only thing he really got out of that was house arrest and just probation, checking in with his probation officer. I knew at the time that there was a market for invertebrates, says Bessie, who had worked as an agent for 5 years before investigating Lapkewicz. I really didn't realize how large the market was until this case. Cockroaches are great pets, is the topic of this paragraph. I don't think they make great pets, but we'll see why they think so. Demand for what most of us think of as creepy crawlies, live as exotic pets, or preserved as collectors' treasures, has fueled a massive trade in everything from beetles and stick insects to tarantulas and scorpions. People even want cockroaches, the creature that once made me flee my apartment for 24 hours after finding one skittering around in the shower. They make great pets, says Carlos Martinez, the owner of the Reptile Factory, a pet shop based in Southern California. Many insects and other arthropods are captive bred or otherwise sold in accordance with the law, but a global black market flourishes alongside the legal trade. It is a little-known corner of the illegal wildlife trade. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry associated with rhino horn and elephant ivory than tiny creatures that can terrify us. A lot of things you find in the trade haven't been legally imported from the area or the origin, says Stephanie Grief, an environmental engineer and insect enthusiast. He runs a popular entomology group on Facebook. It's sadly very common. So they are trying to figure out how to stop all this. what are some ways that you think that they would be able to monitor this better? I just want you guys to think about that question. If you were in charge of trying to figure out why people take bugs and sell them on the black market, what would be some ways that you would be able to try to track them down or try to stop this process? Just send me an email with a response to that question on how you would try to help this epidemic stop with the black marketing and insects being on the black market. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.